And honestly, I'm so glad I didn't do it for solar, because we all know what happens with solar is you think you're going to make all this money and you don't make all that money. And that's exactly what happened. I was promised, I think in a month and a half, I thought I was going to make, north of $100,000. And, I think I got paid out like 23,000 of it. So,
Hi, everybody. Grady Polson. Welcome to the America Agency. Hello, everybody. Grady Polson. Welcome to the America Agency. We got Kyle Yee on with us today. So excited to have Kyle on, building a tremendous business, $50,000 a month, issue paid producer, not submit producer, issue paid, right? It's like when your workout coach goes, biceps are for the girls, but triceps are the ones that actually do anything, right? So it's like people always talk about submit, but issue paid is all that matters. And Kyle's issue paying $50,000 a month, led his team all the way right now to $400,000 a month and building an incredible business. So Kyle, give us some insight on what you're doing, how it's going, what you're focused on, et cetera, and give us some backstory. I want to hear more about you.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for having me here, Grady, first and foremost. So I got into the insurance business about a year and a half ago via recruitment text from Jacob Gardner. I had no idea who he was at that point in time. It was a complete cold message, but long story short, about 2 months after he had shot this message and gotten 2 or 3 calls with him, I found myself at 2024 annual convention, which I don't believe I'd sold a policy yet. I might have sold one. Okay. So it was like the first introduction. He just told me fly out to Dallas. This is it's February or January 2024. Yep. And I had sold a policy. I take that back. I had sold a policy before because I dropped out of USC. That's where I went to college, and took off that semester to kind of go all in on this business. After getting one check from at that time it was Prosperity. I got a check for $955, and I knew I had quite a bit of college debt. I had a rent and I had some bills I had to pay, and I was willing to take the risk. I love sales, so I was willing to take the quote unquote risk. Just bet on myself that I could kind of pay off all that stuff, and this business was the vehicle that could take me to do that. And a year and a half later, we're doing $50,000 a month personally. We're doing $400,000 as a team. And, I think we'll be at $1 million a year or $1 million a month by the end of the year here, especially after we just had a massive event here in LA, just for first grand opening for our office here in LA. So we had a massive event for that. It actually turned into something even bigger than that, which, is part of why I think we'll be at that $1 million a month number by the end of the year. But it's been a crazy last year and a half, but so worth it.
That's awesome, man. So let's go back a tiny bit more. So you didn't just, come out the womb ready to do sales. You were doing solar before, right?
Yep.
And now I always just, not to knock or bag on other industries, but I just am very partisan to insurance. So I always love insight, right? You did well in solar.
Yes.
And did something happen that you didn't like it? Why didn't you go back to it? In school, or how much do you like insurance better? If I could lead the witness.
That's a great one. So I did do really well in solar. It was my first ever sales opportunity. I had some startup work I did in college, but really my first ever sales job.
Okay.
And I did do really well, especially towards the end of it. I had a week where I had 9 deals in a week, which in solar is a pretty big deal. If you're doing 9 to 10 a week, that's sure. Really good numbers. I was doing really well. And ultimately it was kind of a timing thing. My parent at that time, I was going into my sophomore or junior year of college. My parents didn't want me to drop out. So I ended up not doing it. And honestly, I'm so glad I didn't do it for solar, because we all know what happens with solar is you think you're going to make all this money and you don't make all that money. And that's exactly what happened. I was promised, I think in a month and a half, I thought I was going to make, north of $100,000. And, I think I got paid out like 23,000 of it. So, that's just the solar industry for you. You know, they tell you you're going to make all of this. The company goes bankrupt. You know, this happens. You know, it's a shady industry. Also, even if I got paid the $100,000, I am a businessman at heart. So I'm always going to go into an opportunity with scale potential. In solar and any door-to-door position, what's going to happen is you're going to run out of scale potential because you need everyone in person with you and you don't have virtual opportunities. You know, our team, right? Yes, we have a massive LA presence, but we got, you know, dogs out in Florida, dogs out in Chicago, dogs out in Texas, dogs out in Arizona, right? We got guys coming on in Nevada. We've got guys coming in all over Mississippi team. We got, you know, people coming in from left, right. And the only way that's possible is if you're in an opportunity that's virtual that allows, you know, that massive scale and what I like to call the network effect. If you have the right people in your business, the network effect allows your business to grow at exponential rates. So in my opinion, that only can happen in a virtual opportunity.
Amen. And we used to not be virtual, right? You go back 5 years ago, we only did in person. And then COVID and all the things, and people are driven in offices. And now it's just better. It's better, it's faster, more efficient, et cetera. So I want to push on solar for one more second. So to make all the sales and have potential for $100,000 in commissions. And I mean, we say only 23, but when you're expecting 100 and 23 comes, I mean, that's a 80% depression on what you thought you were gonna get. Yeah. How common or often is it for that to happen? Like, do a lot of companies close down or don't fulfill their, like, how does that exist? Like I couldn't imagine a business environment where there's just rampant closures and theft of commissions.
Well, I'd say two reasons, right? One, these solar companies, I mean, the way that they run it, it's just it's kind of a shady industry, just transparently. It's a shadier industry, right? They'll do anything. They'll, you know, package a roof plus solar to, you know, because the solar doesn't fit on the roof, and then they'll ruin the roof. And then, you know, the solar doesn't install properly. And, you know, there's all these issues and that. So, you know, companies go bankrupt because of that, because there's lawsuits against them, right? That's just too common, right? Because when you're dealing with like all this physical labor work and you have, you know, just misalignments and that. But I would say actually the more common reason, you know, people are promised all this money in solar and then they don't see it is this, right? This is another reason the insurance industry was so attractive to me, especially from someone who had zero interest in insurance. I literally had no interest in doing insurance. If Jacob Gardner had texted me about insurance, I probably would have ignored it, to be honest. It was a little bit lucky that he had texted me that because I had no interest. Now I love it, obviously. But transparently, you know, when you're in that solar industry, what kind of happens is you have to wait 2, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, whatever it is for the commission. Because what happens is all these companies that do the installs, that's what they call it, for the solar, right? They take a month to get permits. They take a month to actually do the walkthrough, and then they take another month to actually put the panels on. You get paid when the panels get drilled in. Unlike an insurance policy where if I sell Grady, you know, 200 a month America right now, and he wants it, you know, all of his benefits to begin tomorrow, right? I'm getting paid tomorrow, right? No questions asked, right? I can send him a digital copy of the packet by tomorrow. He'll get a physical one in 5 to 7 business days, but I'll even get paid on it before then. Right. And that's just like the difference in the insurance industry. You see that money immediately, which is crucial for getting new guys paid, which I can touch on a little bit more later, but that's one of our big keys here.
Amen. No, and so I appreciate you digging into that level of depth, because people look at us and they go, well, I could sell cars, or I could do mortgages, or I could get my real estate license, or I could go sell pests, or I could do solar still. Solar still is attractive. You know, if you go to Illinois, and, you know, there's a lot of other stuff out there that can seem attractive. And then you have what seems attractive, and then you have insurance that's actually beautiful. And that's the big difference that I think new agents miss, or agents who haven't completely committed themselves to our business, because they think that somewhere else might be easier. That's just life, right? It's easier to take a pill than it is to eat salad, right? It's easier to get an injection than it is to exercise and get your 10,000 steps in a day, right? To get healthy, right? That's society. So I always try to push on someone like you that's got a great perspective, that had success in the industry, on why it is better here. So thank you for digging in and sharing all that.